All right, check, check. Oh my God, are you kidding me? All right. We're back. My power just flickered. Like, seriously? Come on. Seriously. Lame. Alright, let's tune in. Tune in to see what's going on right now.
We have 10 more minutes here. Remember, and I want to emphasize this, there is a potential hold point at T-minus 40 seconds. SpaceX has not always opted to take this hold point. That hold point is completely optional. Sometimes they just blast right through and just ignore it at all. Sometimes they hold. So be prepared for either... Oh, go ahead, Alex.
If they were to blow through that hold and not hold, this will be the first time they have no delays to the first. I guess they did delay since yesterday. Okay, fair. But like, as they go into a countdown, on flight 1 they had a scrub, right? On flight 2 they delayed into the window. Flight 3, flight 4,
hey,
5.
Hey,
welcome. You've got mail.
Welcome in.
However, if this indeed goes at 4
We're
p.m.,
we're back from a power outage.
No holds. That will be first. Like, that will be...
I'm like, come on.
Amazingly good for Starship. Hitting pinpoint, launch time with
Again, we're going to switch to the official SpaceX stream. Probably a T-minus 5 minutes. Meanwhile, we'll keep it here at NSF for their commentary and status on the countdown, which is looking very good. We're at T-minus 8 minutes, 20 seconds.
And this is the biggest rocket of all time.
Yeah, Falcon Heavy was a lot harder to test when they did that before the launch. It is true though, Falcon Heavy also launched on the first try, on its first launch attempt. So props to SpaceX, because it shows that they can really build these rockets and pad systems, even though it may take a little bit of a workout on those.
Yeah, and I also want to give you a quick preview. What are you experiencing in the next hour? Because, of course, we will stay live for the catch. We will also cover the ship, wherever it goes. The boost, the ship relight in space. But, of course, also we have amazing photographers in the field that will try to get you amazing shots, amazing slow-mos that we will bring to you. You will get tracking that you can only see here at NSF, because that's tracking that we do. So, I'm just excited. We are in the final 7 minutes 20 seconds here, and just closing in. Alex, can I just bother you for one more question here? What is the final steps? When USB-C are we sure that 40 seconds
USB-C
hold is cleared?
So essentially the last few seconds of the countdown.
Yeah, basically, when do we know they're really going?
Oh yeah, so one of the things that we notice sometimes, there's this very peculiar vent at T-minus 40 seconds. If they do not hold, that vent happens, and that vent is related with clearing out the lines before the liftoff, because at liftoff, those, the quick disconnect, the umbilicals for the booster and the umbilical for the ship, those need to be retracted and cleared out of all of the flamey bits, essentially, right? And so they do that vent down of fluid interfaces, as they call it, at T-minus 40 seconds. So there'll be a very remarkable, very peculiar vent at T-minus 40 seconds if they do not hold. And so I'm going to be looking out for that when we reach that point.
Okay, we're going to switch right now to the official SpaceX feed. Give me just a moment. And here we go.
Now, once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on
T-minus
to
5 minutes, 30
And
seconds.
after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the deflector system
The weather,
begins flowing at
range,
T-minus 10
and vehicle are
Any issue
all
after that would be
go.
automatic scrub for the day as the teams would need to
And then on the
refill
left,
deflector's
on this
water
side, you can
as
see
well as the propeller
it's showing
storage
you
tanks over
the
at
percentage
tank farm
of
before we're able to
fuel
make another
that
adjustment.
is loaded in there.
So
So it's
unbelievable that it's
counting
just
up to
been only a
100%,
little over a month
literally
that we are just
down to the
away
wire.
from Flight
Like
6.
they've timed
The crowd
loading
here
the rocket,
holding up,
loading the fuel in the rocket
larger crowd here than when we were,
right down
yeah, 5
to
in the morning.
with very little
Here,
time
so
left on
very
the
excited
clock
to have the afternoon
to not
afternoon
waste
to have all the employees here.
Exactly. Now,
like
just as
any
a
fuel,
reminder,
you know,
T-minus
'cause if you
40 seconds,
leave the fuel in there,
we,
right, it starts to heat up and it starts to
anything
boil
can
off.
still potentially go for launch. So nothing to
So
worry about
they
there.
have to keep topping
At
it
that
up
point, basically,
and
up
wasting
until T-minus 40
fuel.
seconds, all aboard
So they're
just holds. This would allow the
we're at
team to
T-minus
assess
4
checkouts,
minutes
to assess propellant levels,
and there's still like
engines,
90%
vehicle pressurization,
left, or 90%
range, weather. Occasionally we
on
have
the
trim loads
LOX
in
fuel.
past,
Like,
but it
yeah,
doesn't sound
like
that
they're
is the case today.
Yeah, not
They-
today, no shrimp boats, which is
they're
great.
really timing this
Everything so
down
far is
to not
looking
waste
good.
anything.
We're getting really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great. Just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily. Then about 30 seconds later, we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or in the building just behind me, not on board. Some of them might wish they were on board. Flight control team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off, as we still have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch, so we're hoping to see that again today. A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again. And of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship zero gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have Starlink.
That's not
as our
surprising.
test deployer. So
Launching a
getting it started
banana
in space. So
on the world's
coming up
largest
on about 2.5
rocket
minutes, we are closing out on all of our prop
for the
load.
first payload.
Yep, just heard that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to.
So if you don't know,
into the booster and the ship, we're going to do what's
a
called
banana
push
has
back.
been
So all of
used
that propellant in the ground
in the
system is gonna be
aerospace
pushed back to the
industry.
tanks, clear
It's
out
like an
everything
inside
around the
joke
pad, right before we light
to
up
like
those
measure
things
how
take off.
big something is.
Just a
So
reminder, you're gonna see
they even
fire darts at the
painted
bottom.
a
You're gonna
little
see the deflector
banana
about 10
on the
seconds
side of
before launch.
Starship
Lots of
here
water
as
to
well.
help
So
dissipate all that heat, all that sound, and then the engine starting up in 3 different groups, and then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff.
T-minute 130.
About 2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging, and that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today. Do always want to caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here. But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds on the board right now. So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen.
here we go, people.
All right,
Here we
flight
go.
director just confirmed T-minus 1 minute.
Godspeed, Starship.
key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40. And we flew right through that.
No holds. If they were going to hold, it was going to be a T-minus 40.
Flight directors, go for launch.
Go for launch. Oh, yeah.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship
Yes.
Flight 6. This will mark our second attempt to catch the Super Heavy booster at the launch tower, as well as
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
All
Booster
good
operational
engines.
pressure nominal.
All engines are good.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal. Vehicle
All right,
has
we're
reached
just a little over a minute into
maximum
flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call-outs that power telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens. At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now, coming up in just a little over a minute from now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine. And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command.
Yeah, they have to
Just
manually
about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
get manual approval to catch the booster back at Texas. So everything has to be perfect for them to attempt the catch again. They should be separating here any second.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cutoff.
The return flag is set for true.
True. We're true.
Ship engine startup.
That booster.
Stage separation.
All right, hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6 out of
boost
6
back.
lit on the ship. Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take the views. Hopefully I got a booster coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan, great views of planet Earth behind that Super Heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
state
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage, or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently, Super Heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn,
avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
this boost back burn lasts just a little bit over a minute. So we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid fins.
Booster offshore divert.
And we can also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the
hot
next,
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
The next step for booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
And we did mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today. But what you're seeing on your screen is ship currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean, still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views
The booster
there
is still
of
coming
the
down,
booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we
Yeah, the
said
booster's still coming
before
down
that it
on the
was not
left.
guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good flight data with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit
look at
burns,
that.
which is
You can still see the smoke right there
for orbital flights. And what
from
you're
launch.
seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas. We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Oh, we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3 just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today of Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty awesome once again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster. Congrats to the SpaceX team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is...
Starship is in terminal guidance.
Great news there. Starship terminal guidance, referring to what we see here on our screen, the upper stage, at about 8 minutes, 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff, which will be the cutoff of the Raptor engines.
This is cut off right now.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome for ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved. Nominal orbit insertion.
There's that call out we were waiting for. Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
It has been a very exciting afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. It's you guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see it lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and did that water landing, as everybody saw. We'll dig into it a little bit more, but again, we've done it once, we've now done it twice. We're going to keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go. Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry, maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great, and all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not too distant future. Back over to you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Development testing, by definition, is unpredictable, which we saw with Super Heavy splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico today, but that is exactly why we test. As is standard for these tests, the area around the pad and along the flight path was cleared prior to launch, and we expect the road and beach to remain closed until further notice.
Yeah, testing development flight hardware in a flight environment is what enables our teams to quickly learn and execute design changes and hardware upgrades to improve the probability of success in the future. Please do not attempt to approach the booster in the water for your safety as well as for that of our team that will be working on recovery. Now, we are going to continue, though. The mission is not done.
Exactly. The mission's not over. Ship is still coasting. But it has been nonstop since liftoff, and with the booster having completed its job for the day, we are going to take a short break for the next 35 minutes or so while ship continues to coast before re-entry. Now, as with previous flights, Starlink may enable us to talk to the ship through re-entry with no communication blackout. Now, we are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is completely certain.
Yeah, so if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the Banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, around T plus 35 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and hopefully see a splashdown.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Too bad we couldn't see another catch this time, but they're being very, very careful on that because, you know, when you have something as bigger than the Statue of Liberty coming down straight at you, you gotta be careful. In fact, on the last launch, Elon let leak that they were 1 second away from aborting the catch. They went through with it, obviously, but they were a second away from actually having the booster crash right next to the tower. Like it was going to the tower, and it was like it was less than a second away from some big inferno. So sounds like they were pretty lucky that they even had a catch on Flight 5 in the first place. So I have the video here. Where's the video? But yeah, definitely though on this launch, stay tuned, because first off, the re-entry is gonna be super awesome to see, due to Starlink being on board and giving us these great views. It has even given us views of re-entry of a ship, which is like the first time ever, really, that any kind of live camera has been able to capture the craziness of re-entry, and at the location where Starship is planning on landing, it's going to be daytime, and they set up 2 water buoys there to capture video of the landing. So you'll be able to see Starship, hopefully, make its landing in the ocean. This is so SpaceX streams all of their launches on X now. So if you go to YouTube, they're not streaming there. If you go there right now, you're gonna see probably a dozen fake channels that are broadcasting right now, claiming to be SpaceX, and all of them have
Welcome. You've got mail.
all of them have a deep fake Elon talking about crypto. So definitely don't support those channels, because those are all fake. Hey gamer, welcome in. We just had the launch. They didn't. Yeah, it's on X, Reza, on the official SpaceX account. You can do that. I hope to live stream future Starship launches as well. So if I'm able, I hope to live stream future launches. But guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think they said next year they want to launch 50 Starships next year. I believe I need to double check, but I believe it was 50 or 55 launches. Like, they're going from one launch in a month, and they're gonna do, more than 2 a month, 3 a month. Like, how many are we talking about here? Like, we're going from an insane, like, that's how fast they want to ramp up this program, because SpaceX, they got deadlines. They need to not only prove out Starship to launch they want to launch a ton of starships to Mars in the next Earth-Mars transfer opportunity, which I believe that was 2026. The next Earth-Mars transfer window is 2026. Yeah. And that occurs every 26 months. So basically, every 26 months is the most opportune time to launch stuff to Mars. So, in preparation of our first human Mars landing by SpaceX, they want to send, I think they said at least 4 or 5 starships to Mars and land so that they can basically prove that they can land there. And they need to have Starship ready for that in a little over a year. So that's basically one of their main upcoming deadlines. And, you know, that's a deadline they can't move right off, right? Obviously, Mars isn't gonna wait for them. So they gotta, that's why they gotta do as many as they can next year. Let me double check. Yeah, Danny, what? Okay, sorry. I was lying. They want to launch 25. Sorry, 25 starships next year. So that's definitely doable. That's definitely doable. If they don't make the deadline, they'll just have to wait till 2028. True. But at the rate that they're iterating, like I really don't have any concern that they won't be ready. They will only not be ready if bureaucracy gets in the way. That's really the only thing holding them back. Starship, this launch was only able to go right now because the FAA already approved them. They already approved this flight. So they were not waiting for any flight license on this launch. So that's why we're launching about a month since the last launch. So crossing fingers. Hopefully no red tape will hold back SpaceX next year. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they have not only those Mars launches in 26, and then they also have deliverables to NASA for the Artemis program to land on the moon. But the Artemis program, is, man, who knows if it's even gonna still be around. Like, there's so many rumors going around right now that the replacement to the space shuttle is going to be flat out canceled. Because why fly a rocket that takes $2 billion per launch when you can fly Starship for 100 million? Right, or less. There's just no comparison to, like, and Starship can carry more into orbit. It just doesn't make any sense. But we'll just see how long NASA, if they're gonna just continue to keep going with the SLS program. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But as it sits today, NASA still has SpaceX contracted to make a moon version of Starship that will land on the moon.
Welcome. You've got mail.
Hey, Billie Eilish. Hello. Thank you so much for the birthday. Congrats. Thank you so much. We're watching the SpaceX Starship Flight 6 launch. This is a inside view of their first payload, which is a banana.
Welcome. You've got mail.
Hey, Cammy, welcome in. No, they launched 26 minutes ago. 26 minutes ago, they launched. They did not catch the booster back at the pad, which is what we were hoping to see, but they splashed down in the ocean instead. The Starship, this is the inside view of Starship in orbit right now with their first payload, which is a banana. It's kind of an inside joke in the aerospace industry. Use a banana to measure something. So in aerospace, I guess. And at T plus, so it's T plus 27. At T plus 35, so in about, yeah. At T plus 35, I think they're gonna come back live, give us an update, and then we're going to start. We're gonna do a Starship engine relight, which is the first time that they will be relighting one of their engines in orbit to prove that out. Just another checkbox saying, yep, we can do it. And then it's going to be a re-entry, and then hopefully we'll have some live views of its splashdown off of the coast of Australia. But we were talking about the Starship program. Like I said, next year is going to be crazy. They want to do 25 launches of Starship next year. They got to get Starship ready for Mars in 2026. They got... oh, that's right. Cammy. It's Cammy's birthday. Guys, today, happy birthday to Cammy. That reminds me, I still gotta eat my cake. There we go. There's my.
Happy birthday to my friends. Happy birthday to my friends.
Yeah. Enjoy some cake, Cammy. Okay. Stand by. We're standing by.
Check. We're standing by. Cammy's eating cake. 10-4. We're a go for eating cake. That chocolate cake is on the fork. All fork systems nominal. Ready for eating.
I should have had that voice on when I was talking. So yeah, the SpaceX is going to be providing NASA with a version of Starship that will land, and that deliverable. When did they say they needed that? Probably not till 2028. It's definitely not going to be anytime soon. It's going to be. What version of Artemis? Probably. I can't find it at the moment, but I'm guessing probably not. They don't have to deliver that until 2028. I'm looking here. Okay. They say
OMG guys, Kami on Twitch just subscribed with Prime. Frick yes, and thank you. Frick yes.
We have a new subscribed at tier 1. Came on Twitch. Over. Frick yes. 10-4. Came on Twitch has been subscribed for 25 months. Roger. Thank you so much for that. Came on Twitch.
I know. It was perfect for the launch. I should have used that more. And Danny also had a birthday too. Danny had a birthday.
Danny also had a birthday. Happy birthday, Danny. Danny.
Wait. There he goes. Daddy. Happy birthday.
There you go. So yeah, they want to actually have the Moon Starship maiden launch next year. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So I guess they have to deliver a Moon version of Starship, or at least have a maiden launch of it next year. So okay. So now, guys,
And we are just about 35 minutes into today's flight test, continuing to get some live views from Starship itself as it continues to make its way around the globe. We are coming up on what we will hopefully see is our in-space relight demonstration. This will
whoa, look
be
at those lightning.
firing up one of those 3 sea-level Raptors on the very aft end of the ship.
That's so cool.
Essentially
You can see
reigniting,
lightning on the
while we're in that microgravity
Earth's
environment
surface.
in Earth orbit.
Look at that.
We had attempted this once previously on Flight 3,
Whoa.
but ended up skipping it when we had some attitude control issues with the ship. And we are on the dark side of the planet right now, so views are going to be a little bit dark, but hopefully we see some engine light come on
Wow,
as
that's
we
so
do
cool.
this relight test. This is a pretty critical capability for doing deorbit burns. This is not a deorbit burn. Want to stress that we're on a trajectory where if we didn't fire off the engine at all, we are definitely coming home. Ooh, seeing some thunderstorms down on the ground. That's pretty cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight, and we continue to monitor during. But we're going to aim for that and hopefully see this relight test coming on in about a minute. It's just going to be one of these engines, and it uses what's called the header tank, so these small spherical tanks in the very top of Starship up in the nose cone. They don't require nearly as much gas to pressurize as your main tank, so they're really useful for any in-orbit maneuvers, and then for landing burns. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. It should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn. And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're not weighed down with the force of Earth's gravity.
And
Just
shut
heard
down.
the call out for startup. There's some light. There's that Raptor relit. And shut down.
Oh, that was quick.
All right, there you have it. The first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future. So check another one off. That was a really cool. That was an objective we really wanted to hit on this one, and so good to see Ship knock that one out in orbit. But for now, we're going to coast for just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return from
Starship is in entry
hypersonic
prep.
velocities. We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned, and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit. But coming up real soon, ship re-entry, successful relight, and we'll start this entry part soon.
Yeah, so basically, it looks dark right now, but definitely we're going to be seeing tons of light as the plasma starts building up here on the underside of the Starship. This is looking towards the back of the Starship. And it has, you know, 2 flaps on the back, 2 flaps on the front. Underneath here is the heat tiles. So you'll definitely start seeing some really awesome looking plasma buildup here soon. This is not it. This is something else. And then they're also going to be re-entering the atmosphere at a steeper angle. So they're doing a few things different here for this re-entry. Hopefully Starship will survive. First off, this steeper re-entry angle. And then if it does, then it will splash down on the coast of, well, off the coast of Australia. And if Starlink holds, we should be getting video live footage of Starship coming down throughout the entire thing. So having a little cough here. They did mention something about losing
Welcome. You've got mail.
something about losing attitude control. Was that something? What's happening there? I'm not sure what they were mentioning about that. Hello, Sir Lemington. Welcome into our SpaceX Starship coverage. Yeah, they had mentioned something about some attitude control. Hopefully nothing too crazy is going on with that. Let's see. So on the launch pad, not sure if this was the cause of the abort, the catch abort, but looks like on the launch pad the antenna tower might have got damaged. So not sure if that was if that's part of the criteria to land, but there was some tower damage. All right, guys, this is the plasma building up. That's the plasma building up on the bottom of Starship. This doesn't look right, though. The ship, you can see the ship graphic there. It's really Unless this is the new steeper re-entry angle. Last time it wasn't that. I don't believe it was that steep last time. So it's interesting. Right, so we got all the good views, the rear view on the top, and the left and the right flap. These are the front two flaps. I believe these are the front two flaps on either side of the ship. No mention of...
Welcome back to Starship's 6th test flight. It has been an exciting day so far. We lifted off from Starbase at 4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful separation as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage adapter. We did not attempt a return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
All right, great news there, turning our attention over to the star of the show here, giving us these amazing views once again. We heard the call out there telling us that the Starship vehicle is now 83 kilometers above, coming up around T plus, well, now actually, the ship, as you can see, is beginning to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. As a reminder, one of the main goals of today's flight test is for the ship to make it through the extreme heat of re-entry and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, re-entry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communication capability with the spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or about 5 miles per second. Now, at those speeds, yep, pretty fast. The spacecraft is moving through the atmosphere rather quickly, and that results in friction, as we can see that starting to happen on our screen, and this creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so it's not uncommon to experience brief blackouts in communication.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
And we just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views courtesy of Starlink. We've got 4 different terminals on the ship itself. It's what's really allowed us to get real-time data during what's otherwise been just a mystery box, essentially, for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering through the atmosphere, at least getting anything in real time hasn't ever been possible before, but we're able to not just get these views, but real-time telemetry from the ship as it's coming through. Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today. The heat shield is not in the same configuration as it was last flight, where we had a team of ship techs do just an otherworldly task, replacing the entire heat shield, thousands of tiles, installing a backup ablative, and that pretty much set us up to do a pinpoint landing on Flight 5. We did not do that with this one. We have some backup in those really sensitive areas around the flap, but this is an older generation heat shield. And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are some steel-covered tiles in a couple of different spots. And there's also a whole lot more steel of the ship showing. As you guys talked about, we gave it a little bit of a haircut, a couple hundred tiles trimmed off the sides, and that's where we might have catch fittings in the future. But ooh, color's starting to come in. So it looks like things are going to start heating up, Kate and Jesse.
Yeah, fun fact, Dan,
Yeah.
we actually removed 2,100 heat shield tiles from Starship in order to basically present
Look at the
that
cool plasma
necessary
stream
receding line, which
on
you
the
kind
back.
of can see there in your view. Think back to previous flights. The heat shield line came up further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle beyond what we think it is capable of carrying based on our simulations and calculations. So once again, to just be super plain, don't be surprised if we see some wackadoodle stuff happen here. We won't be. There are a number of
Wackadoodle.
things that we are testing out intentionally to see what the ship can take.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what those limits are will really help us design the vehicle of the future. Essentially, removing those tiles helps us remove a lot of weight from the vehicle, a lot of things that might potentially need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to come up with a heat shield pattern or design that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over and over again. And that's why we're changing some of those tiles and moving stuff around, removing a lot of those tiles, as Kate has been mentioning.
Exactly. And, looking forward to the Starship capability of the future, we want to be able to catch Starship like we do with boosters. And so the next flight, we want to better understand where we can install catch hardware, not necessarily to actually do the catch, but to see how that hardware holds up in those spots. And today's flight will help inform, does the stainless steel hold up like we think it may based on experiments that we conducted on Flight 5? Now, continuing to look
got a lot of
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
that plasma buildup on the back.
Like, there's so much on this flight that we're doing to try and, make all the ships that we're about to start flying even better. Just really
This flap is
understand
really
what their
getting
capabilities are gonna be.
some heat right there
We've
on the
got
right. You
kind
can
of the
see.
next-gen ship lined up for Flight 7. It's got all of those heat shield upgrades and everything. And one of the things that we're going to be doing that's most interesting, and one of the reasons we wanted daylight, is we're going to be flying pretty aggressively as ship comes in. We're going to be kind of nose down, and we've done it in wind tunnels. We've done it in simulations. You might see the flaps really flapping around, trying to control the vehicle. We're betting we might have a little bit more capability than we think in just the analysis, but always a chance that bet doesn't pay off. But that just helps us know, like, what are our
Starship
limits.
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Sweet. Halfway there. Halfway home, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys, again, can follow along with the altitude and the speed of ship as it's making its way back down to Earth, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Speed is still going really, really fast. Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll see that altitude drop a little bit faster. It's kind of dropping pretty slow right now. And again, as we get closer and closer to literally the surface of the water, then we'll start to see that speed pick up. And if we can make it through this re-entry, we will attempt to do that flip maneuver once again and splash down in the ocean.
Exactly. Like we've been saying, we are testing beyond the perceived limits of the vehicle. We want to go learn more about the ship, and this is a great opportunity to do that. So really pushing the flight hardware in a flight environment to help inform these future designs. As we've mentioned, it has a different heat shield. This heat shield is not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So we are also testing out new secondary thermal protection materials. So basically, like, if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the ship's structural strength in those areas where we're looking.
You can see the edge of the flap hinge there glowing red.
So, yeah, as we've been
Those
saying,
heat tiles
done,
probably are getting toasty.
This view right here is super cool. This is looking out from the aft engine bay, basically at the bottom of Starship. Then on the center left-hand panel, if you will, we have one of the forward Starship flaps, so one of the flaps located at the top of the vehicle. Underneath that is one of the aft end flaps, like the one that we see in the main picture there on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, these views as the vehicle continues to enter the Earth's atmosphere.
You can start
drawing
seeing
a
the
crowd
Earth,
once again here at SpaceX and
the
Hahn
clouds on
as
the right.
Folks tune in as the mission continues on. Now, the next event that we have
Oh, the
coming up,
plasma is turning green.
we should hear
That's so cool.
the call out that the vehicle is transonic around T plus 1 hour and 2 minutes or so. That means that the vehicle is traveling near the speed of sound. We say near the speed of sound because there are certain parts of the vehicle where airflow is going faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of the speed of sound. So once we have equal flow on all parts, then we'll hear it's subsonic.
Yeah,
and almost real quick, almost a reverse of, I'm sorry, Jesse, almost a reverse of before. We see the Earth starting to come into view. We've got sunrise there over the Indian Ocean. So this is going to look different from any of the re-entries we've had before. And it was specifically so like we get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this. Over to you, Jesse. Sorry about that.
Dan, great minds think alike. That's exactly what I was going to point out, is that we're getting a lot clearer view of the Earth in the background with the different temperatures that we're seeing, with the different colors of that plasma around the ship, which is really, really cool to see. Again, we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far everything is looking pretty nominal.